Good evening. This is the Curriculum and Evaluation Committee meeting on Monday, December 13th, 2021. It's 5:30 p.m. and we are in the Nashua North Boardroom. We are going to call the meeting to order. First, we have our committee members. Gloria Timmons.
Here.
Jessica Brown is here. We have a quorum. And we also have in attendance Ms. Dottie Oden, Dr. Sarfty from Central Office. And our first presentation is going to begin right now. So go ahead, Dr. Sarfty.
Thank you. Yes, so I'm pleased to present our new multi-tiered system of support coach, Dawn Monroe. And essentially what she's going to do is just present an overview of the work that she's been doing so far.
I thought I'd first give an overview of what MTSSB is first. It's a multi-tiered system of supports. It's 3 separate tiers, and it's both for academic and for behavioral. The B stands for behavioral. The first tier is your general population, which should be about 80%. The second tier is about 15% for those kids that need a little bit more supports, and then the third tier is for the ones that need more intensive supports, and that would be special ed or maybe someone that's on a behavior plan or something to do with at that level. Dr. Sathi had scheduled some community meetings that would incorporate all the mental health providers in the area, and she also did some meetings with the community organizations that we have in the area. And what I did was I created a grid that has all the services for home services and school services for each one of those participants. And we put all the partners' the contact information and any links that were there for people to go to. I've had a chance to meet with all the building principals in order to find out the needs of the schools, what supports they have in place already. Do they already have their Tier 1 supports, which is school-wide initiatives that we have, like Choose Love or any other initiatives that might be school-wide. And then to see if they have any Tier 2 supports in place and how they're working with those. I've also had the opportunity to attend some building meetings and discussion with some of the, some people are implementing some of the MTSS strategies in their building. And I've been going to some of their committee meetings where they are talking about kids that are in need and the supports that they need. I've been working with the SMART Coalition and the Prevention Coalition to address some of the services that they might have that they could help with our families and students in our community. The Prevention Coalition would also like to do a program called Gizmo, which helps with some of the social emotional needs of kids in the elementary level, and that would be anxiety, stress, and depression. They also would like to do a Choose Love reading where they read a book and then the kids get an opportunity to have a bingo game and somebody wins a book at the end of the bingo game. Okay. Dr. Fathi and myself will be meeting with the Behavior Task Force, and we'll be looking at data collection, information that they have so far, and how data is inputted into X2. And lastly, I have created some folders for the staff, principals, and teachers that would be for social emotional, classroom, behavior, and they're all broken down into multiple folders into each one so that they have a go-to for references and for tools for them to use in the classroom. And one of those would be the community outreach chart that we do with our partnerships in the community.
I just wanted to add on to that a little bit too. So Dawn has a lot of experience when it comes to the area of special education, and she's been really key when it comes to addressing the individual needs of some of our students. We have some students who are struggling academically, but also struggling emotionally a little bit right now. And so when we kind of all get together and really problem solve and figure out how do we really meet the needs of each child, she's been really integral sort of in that process, and that's been really helpful. Just talking about our community providers, I think we've talked a little bit about making sure that we kind of know what every provider offers so that when we do have students who are in crisis, we're making sure that we are reaching out to the appropriate community partner for that individual student's needs. And so that's something that Dawn has really helped us with. And yeah, no, so we're just really excited about this position, really excited about all of the experience that Dawn brings to the table. And she just kind of has jumped in right away, and just looking to see how much we can continue to support our students.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions from anyone on the committee? And, go ahead. And I'd like to, for the record, Mr. Garino joined us at 5:31, and you have a question, sir?
No, I just wanted to mention that sorry I'm late.
That's all right. And Ms. Oden?
Yeah, thank you. I think this is a great need that's being filled. I had a couple questions. When I look at professional development, I think I read 10 hours of professional development. And we have, from the Office of Civil Rights, I believe we have to have 10 hours in ELL training. That's 20 hours. Are we going to be able to fit all that in appropriately for our staff?
So I'm not sure that I understand, but I think what you're talking about is the required training to make sure that we're serving our English learners. That would be separate from what the services that Dawn provides. I'm just not clear on what the other 10 hours are that you're describing.
I thought I read in this that there were going to be 10 hours of professional development for this program that Dawn is talking about.
So I'm actually not sure what you're talking about, if it was in the curriculum documents for today. She has been providing professional development, and she will be offering professional development on the 21st. I think you're offering 2 different sessions, correct? Yeah. But that would just be staff choice for our February 21st Professional Development Day.
Well, I understand that, but we also, in the district,
Sure.
because of the Office of Civil Rights, I believe it's 10 hours for every teacher in the district that we have to provide for.
Yep.
So that's 20 hours right there. Are we going to be able to fit that in for all of our staff?
So I'm actually not clear on what, the 10 hours would be on our early release days, and that's something that we have planned for and accounted for. But the professional development that Dawn is offering is professional development that is optional for teachers during our full in-service day. So there would be many offerings for teachers, and they'd be able to select from a menu of different opportunities. So they would be able to fit it in because it would kind of be teacher choice on that day. But in terms of fulfilling the obligations imposed on us from the Department of Justice for English learners, absolutely.
Okay. I had another question. Can you give me some idea of what type of data you're collecting? When it's numerical, we understand behavior, we have certain categories. Can you tell me what type of data you would be looking at when you're collecting this data?
Yes, part of the data that we'd be collecting would be like office referrals, if we're talking behavior, and any data that's in X2. We are looking at the data and how it's being put into X2. We're also looking at possibly having Swiss data, which is kind of an intervention for behaviors. So, and to work in conjunction with X2. And we're trying to see if those 2 systems can merge for all the data to be in one place.
And when you go into Swiss data, would it be more behavioral, saying left the building, refused to do work, more behavioral sensitive?
Yes.
Rather than the other data? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and you will be using the Swiss?
I'm not sure of that yet.
Okay.
We're trying to see if our systems can speak, because we want to make sure that all the data can be put in one place so it's easy access for any member that needs to have access to that X2 data, so don't have to look in 2 places. They do have the ability to export that data to another system, but I sent it to IT today to see if that's possible with the system that we have and with Swiss, if they can talk to each other and have that merger happen.
That would be good. Greg is very good about trying to accomplish things we need done. And I'm asking about that because an office referral can be so general that if you're looking at behavior, there's multiple levels of behavior. So I'm hoping that it would be more detailed than just an office referral. So, thank you. I think it's a great program.
And if I could just add, one of the things that we really want to do is make sure that we are consistent in that reporting. So X2 is our student information system, and we do want that to be sort of the placeholder for all of the information. But some schools, through some grant funds, they were able to secure Swiss data. So what we want to do is see if that whatever is being put into that system interacts with X2 so that we can just have one place where we're looking for the data. But also when Dawn talked about the behavior task force, one of the things that we want to be able to do is make sure that everybody has a common understanding of what constitutes an office referral, what's an infraction that we actually document. You know, there are certain things like eye rolling and things like that. We wouldn't want to necessarily put that in the system, but we'd want to put something in that's a little bit more serious, and then just kind of calibrate our understanding so that, you know, that we're fair to students, we're reporting what we should be reporting, but then also that so that we have a kind of a clear picture so that we can make sure that we're appropriately supporting all students.
Okay, thank you. Can I follow up on that? Thank you. Did I understand you that some schools can use Swiss data? They have that available, but other schools do not?
So I'm thinking of one elementary school in particular that was able to secure a grant fund, secure grant funds, and then with those grant funds, they have access to Swiss data.
Just one school
Yeah, just one that I know of.
out of 18?
Go ahead.
Dr. Chris School was a pilot school that started MTSSB. And so with that, they had the Swiss data as part of that process. So now we're hoping to incorporate 2 additional schools that really have all the structures in place, or they're at least in the process of putting those structures in place. So we're looking closely at the type of data that we want to collect, and do we want to make this universal throughout the schools, or if it was, and we'll have to see how Dr. Crisp is doing with theirs in order to see if it's applicable to all the elementary schools that we have.
I know, I retired 8 or 9 years ago, and we used Swiss data back then at my school, so it's something that people are familiar with, and it was a valuable tool. Is CARES Act money available for this?
Possibly, but there are other grant funds that were utilized for Dr. Crisp, and we probably would pursue those grant funds before CARES funds, just because of the nature of what's available, and if the funds are available, then that's probably where we would go first.
Okay, thank you. Let me finish. I do hope you can find the funds for the Swiss data, because that was very, very helpful, I can say, to staff and the team that was looking at behaviors in the school. So thank you so much.
Could I actually have a question also, ma'am? Hold on a second. Thank you so much. Kind of to follow up on what Ms. Oden had mentioned, the Swiss data, is that something that is, the database and information is held here within our IT department, or is that a cloud-based system?
That's on a local-based system for each school, and what I'm trying to find out is if that can be a collective information that's imported or exported into X2, so that we're seeing all the data in one place.
Okay. And I guess kind of related to that, you mentioned in your memo here that you said each building will select evidence-based interventions. So is there a reason that it wouldn't be the district selecting those evidence-based, like how we're going to intervene? Because it seems like you would want there to be consistency between the schools.
Yes, like your ESL, your SEL program is Choose Love, and that's been adopted by most of the schools at this point in time. And I've been looking into some of the older schools, like the middle and high school, just to see if that's applicable at that grade level, and just to see how it's being received at that grade level. So that would be a universal intervention that's evidence-based that would be using there. And some of the other programs that we're looking at would also be evidence-based. If it's just through conflict resolution, we would make sure that we have an evidence-based practice for our conflict resolution. So we would be using different practices that are evidence-based.
Okay. And so there'll be some way that you're going to talk with the principals and the teachers within that community to see what's working best for their students currently, and then maybe evolve that into something a little more intensive. All right. And then my final question was, so once you have the behavior analyses done, and what's the next step in applying what you've learned to hopefully, is it the goal to work with the school culture or work with individual students? Can you speak to that a little bit?
I would think it would be a combination of both. I would think that once we get the data, so it's all put in the same format, like everyone has the understanding of what constitutes going into the system. At that point, you can see if the program is being done with fidelity, if the program is just not working, and you'd see that across other schools as well. And at that point, we can make a decision if that program needs to be replaced by something else, or if we need to work more with staff in order to implement the programs that we have with better fidelity than what they're currently using.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have any questions? Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Monroe. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
So I think our next item, are we going to do the Gail here?
Yep, so we have a more lengthy presentation. So before that, we're going to have Miss Gail Casey from 21st Century join us, and she's just going to share some after-school program updates.
Welcome, Miss Casey.
Hi. Good to see you all again. It's been a while.
Nice seeing you again.
Nice to see you. So my name is Gail Casey, and I oversee the 21st Century Extended Learning Program, the after-school programs of the Nashua School District. For anyone who doesn't remember, we operate in 7 of the elementary schools. It's a grant-funded program, and we have 2 grants going right now, and so we're in the midst of both of them. So we still have a few years left before we have to be concerned about additional funding coming in to sustain them. The 3 things I thought I would share with you all today is an update on the national study. So if you remember last year, you all voted and said that the Nashua School District would be willing to participate in the United States Department of Education's national study on 21st century community learning centers. That project is it's underway now. We've received about 12 hours of training, and the way that's working is 4 out of the 7 school sites are receiving additional dosages of professional development and participation in self-assessments. And the idea is over 2 years, they're going to be comparing those 4 sites to the other 3 sites. So it's an honor to be invited to participate. I know that with the pandemic, there was some concerns about whether we should move forward, specifically as it relates to staff retention. We've had some issues getting more staff involved and hired for after school. But in the end, I'm really glad that we're moving forward because I think it helps our staff teams to understand they're part of something bigger than themselves. And so we've been working with Mathematica and the Weichart Center on receiving those trainings. They've come through, they've evaluated our program so far. We continue on with that training in January. Any questions about the national study that I can answer now, or I can move on to the next topic if you'd like?
Go ahead. I think
Okay. beautiful. The next thing I just wanted to mention is that the state of New Hampshire, up at the DOE, they've implemented new reporting that's required of 21st century programs. We have an advisory board in 21st century made up of building administrators and parents and community partners, and I was really impressed with their response, specifically Melissa Gorbig from Big Brothers Big Sisters and Sherry Fulton from Dr. Crisp, and also Mike Harrington from Fairgrounds, and really identifying a really strong way to address these new reporting requirements of the state. And so where other programs were even now are really concerned across New Hampshire and how they're going to respond to these new, they're calling them GRIPA measures, Nashua was really in a good spot because of our board leadership. And so we have an academic coordinator who's focusing on aligning school day curriculum with after-school enrichment down to the grade level and to the month. And so we in 21st Century, in the month of September, we're working on things like letter recognition and numeracy recognition and scope and sequence down from kindergarten all the way up through 5th grade. And in doing that, the idea is that we're reinforcing the skills that students would be learning during the day, during after school, except we do it while we're playing. So kids tend to like it because we get to play and make sure that kids are having fun while they're learning during the after school program. In addition, our academic coordinator interviewed all of the teachers who've worked in our programs over the last 5 years, and that was done to sort of solicit feedback around their experience working with our students, identifying strategies for improving our homework clubs. And so a lot of work has gone into revamping the homework club programs in 21st Century. That's really what makes us stand apart, I think, from other youth serving agencies in the city. And so that has been going well for our reporting purposes. Any thoughts or questions about any of that?
All right, well, thank you very much.
Oh, go ahead, sure.
You're not done yet, are you?
No, I have one more thing. I just want to pause because some of this stuff is content heavy. And so if there are questions, I just want to make sure I can be in the right headspace to answer them. The last thing that I would just share with you, because it's very dry to hear me ramble on about 21st century reporting, the students in 21st century programs came together and they put together a video prior to Thanksgiving break. And the video is all about thanking their teachers. And so in the interest of time, it is a little bit longer, but I've asked Kimberly to send it to you so you can take a look. And it's really just adorable to see what our students think about our teachers and how important it is to them. And especially now, I think more than ever, our kids need to know that the adults care about them, and our homework club really helps to do that. So it's great. It's a feel-good video, and I will send that along so you can see it.
I do have one question, if you don't mind. Oh, thank you. Good to see you again, Casey.
Good to see you.
I have a question about the students that mentoring the younger kids. Are you still getting them from the classes? Where are you getting those students to mentor the younger kids?
Are you talking about, so we've done a lot of different mentoring programs over the years. I will say that the district is being very cautious in terms of how we integrate our program partners back into buildings. So that has really put a little bit of a halt to some of that work. We are in the process right now of reaching out to our program partners, not only to figure out what the best way is for them to interact with our students, but also to learn what the changes are from their perspective as well. So a lot of our partners may not be available to come in anymore. So we are just starting those conversations now. And it's really been different for each group and each partner. So as of today, we don't have a whole lot of the mentoring work that we've been doing in the past. We are still doing some stuff virtually, but as I'm sure you all know, a lot of people have been hesitant to participate in virtual anything.
So are you sure to help?
Yes, thank you for asking. We are hiring at all 7 locations. We have a range of employment opportunities, and we can be flexible with people's schedules. If anyone is interested in working in 21st Century, I'm happy to talk to them directly. They can certainly reach out via email. Our website, the Nashua School District website, has a bunch of postings. And certainly if they know somebody in the school, we have full-time staff in all of the schools we serve. they can certainly reach out to those full-time folks and say, I'm interested in being part of what you're doing. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Nice reminder as well, because I'm a big supporter of the 21st Century program. They just brought it to Perch Hill several years ago when my kids were still there. And I just think it's great what you guys do with the kids after school. It keeps them happy, keeps them safe. And I appreciate the fact that you align the work with the school day. So thank you so much. Anything else to add? Oh, and Mr. Oden.
Thank you. I am a big supporter. I was in the district when they implemented 21st Century. John Chapitis wrote the grant. How many staff members are you down? I know the district is somewhere around 100 down on paraprofessionals.
We currently have 112 openings.
Out of how many?
About 160.
Wow.
So what we've done, because we knew this was going to be a challenge, hiring and after-school programs, it's the nature of the work that we do. So in a normal year, we always have openings. Again, our advisory board, district leadership was really involved in sort of identifying how we can be proactive. So we did a lot of things to communicate with families ahead of time, and we're accepting more students in programs as we hire staff. So we do have wait lists, but that's because it's not responsible to take in students in the program unless we have adequate staffing. So every time we have a new staff member, we invite more students to participate, and then site coordinators are communicating with families pretty regularly to let them know where they fall on the wait list.
Can you tell me, and maybe if somebody's listening, what is the beginning pay and how far? There are several different positions at the Title I. Can you let people know what they could start at per hour?
Sure. So there's 3 part-time positions. We actually have a full-time position opening up at the end of the month. The full-time position would be working directly with me on our leadership team and would be running a site. The 3 part-time positions, we're always looking for New Hampshire certified teachers to help in our homework club. We have some schools with 0 teachers participating in our program, and I think that has more to do with sort of the culture and climate of what they're experiencing after the pandemic. The second position we have is an enrichment instructor. Enrichment instructors earn $17.50 an hour, and they have to teach an evidence-based enrichment course. So that means a pre and post test of some kind. If there's anyone who has a concern about whether their data will measure up, so to speak, I typically meet with enrichment instructors before they start to sort of identify where the gaps are in their class that they're providing. And then the third position that we have is program assistants. Those are typically high school students or college students looking to get into the education field. Those folks earn $10 an hour and can work anywhere from 8 to 15 hours a week. Again, we're flexible with folks' schedules, especially our younger high school students, because we know that they have other obligations for their education and extracurricular activities.
Well, hopefully you can get, if you get one person,
I hope so.
it's better than nothing, because your program is critical for so many children and so many families. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for being here, Ms. Casey. So next, are we going to move to the middle school module presentation, or would you like to move on to the course additions, Ms. Sarti, Dr. Sarti?
Yeah, so the main event, all of the teachers are here, the head teachers, and Ms. Kutu is here and Ms. Hackett, and they are going to talk about the program of studies at the high school, and they're just going to give an overview of the course changes. So take it away, ladies.
Hello. Welcome.
Everyone. We're going to just follow the handouts that you received in order.
Can you turn your mics on, lady?
No.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, everyone. Thought it was on. We're just going to follow the packet that you received and in order of department. And we're going to start with the art department. I'd like to welcome Angela Walsh, and she was the head teacher for art.
Did you say your name for the transcriber so they know who you
Lori Kuchu, Director of School Counseling.
And I'm Jackie Hackett, Director of Counseling at North.
Thank you. Yeah, and if I could remind each teacher as you come up to present, just say your name first before you go. Thank you.
Hi, is this on?
No.
Okay. Hi, I'm Angela Walsh. I teach at South. I'm also district coordinator for the arts secondary level. And we're here tonight to just talk about two changes in the art department. The first one being for the ceramics course, which is offered at both high schools. A change we'd like to make is to offer it to our freshman class. Currently, it's only offered for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So we're proposing that with the prerequisite of freshmen having taken the Intro to High School Art in 8th grade, that would make them a little bit more prepared to take a ceramics course in 9th grade. It gives them another option for a semester course as they choose their classes when they transition from middle to high school. The next thing is a new course altogether, and I'll let Andrea explain that one.
Hello, I'm Andrea Tilson. I teach art at Nashua High School South as well. This course, I just have a little blurb here. I'm going to sort of read about the course that is being proposed. This course will give special education students the opportunity to work with peers while in smaller class sizes, creating art which can be taken home and used for design or function. Most projects made are functional and practical. These explorations may include printmaking, glass painting, recycled sculptures, knitting on a loom, paper mache, and tie-dye. The classroom teacher has the discretion to adapt the curriculum based on individual student need.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions about the art classes?
I do.
Oh, sorry.
There's no cost to this at all?
Pardon me?
Because I'm looking on your printout, and it's no cost to these extra courses to the
There's
new
no
ones?
cost, no.
Okay.
Any questions? All right. Thank you very much, ladies.
Next, we have Susan Rourke for the English department.
Good evening, Susan Rourke, English Department Head Teacher at Nashua South. And there is one very simple change that we are suggesting. It is changing the name of one of our elective courses from Contemporary Global Literature to Global Literature. And there's a very simple reason for that. The NCAA, the college sports organization, requires that students who wish to play sports in college take NCAA-approved courses. And we have a number of courses, especially some of our electives, that have been NCAA-approved, but they did not approve contemporary global literature. We did a whole bunch of research, a whole lot of research on the NCAA Eligibility Center website, and found that courses named global literature had been approved. So, yes, I know, it's a bit of a conundrum. But anyway, so we are making this very simple, or suggesting this very simple change, so that our student-athletes who wish to take the course at Nashua South can then use that course and meet the eligibility requirements so that they may participate in sports and sports scholarships when they get to college.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Will there be any change in the actual curriculum? Will we be teaching different?
None whatsoever.
All right. Thank you for doing that for our student athletes. Does anyone have any questions? Ms. Oden?
I just want to say, I read this and I thought, my goodness, what's the difference here? And to hear you explain it, it's a really important difference for a lot of our students. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you for researching it and bringing it forward, because for some of our students, it's a critical change. So thank you so much.
You're
and
very
it's
welcome.
Good seeing you again.
Nice to see you too.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Rourke.
Thank you.
Next, we have Sharon Saunders for the ELL department.
Hi, I'm Sharon Saunders. I'm representing the ELL department of Nashua South and Nashua North. And we are proposing adding leveling to our ELL courses. Currently, all of our ELL courses are unleveled. And we feel that we'd like to add leveling so that a student's transcript really reflects the rigor of the courses that they take. We also feel that by adding leveling, it will make it easier for guidance counselors and other teachers to appropriately schedule those ELL students into other content area courses.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Ms. Oden?
No, I don't have a question. I have a comment as somebody who taught at a school with ELL students. A classroom teacher, there are some students who pick it up much easier, and there are some that struggle in the beginning and then get there. So I appreciate you looking at the leveling. I think that's helpful to the students. And again, it's nice seeing you again in person. So, and thank you for all you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, could I ask one question?
Yep.
So just the application of the honors versus extensions, is that mean for a class that's specific, like ELL math or ELL science? Would that be where the honors would come into play, or is it the actual ELL programming?
The ELL program.
Okay, and so is it just because some students tend to learn English quicker than others? Because during the regular classes, they're in, is this so that students would go into an ELL-specific course, or so they would still get the ELL services through the more typical classroom?
So all ELL students will continue to take their ELL courses. What we're looking to do is add leveling to those courses. Just like any other student, there are students who work at a foundation level, extension level, and honors level. We've had students that have literally tested out of ELL in 1 year. Because they've come to us from their home countries with a solid academic background and, a thirst for knowledge. So those students really having an unleveled course on their transcript, it didn't really reflect their level of academic rigor, and that's what we're looking to make sure that we can ensure for our students in the future.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we have James Graham for the mathematics department.
Good evening, everybody. I'm James Graham. I'm the head of the math department at Nashua High School North. So we have a few changes we're looking to make. The first one is AP Computer Science A. This is a course we already offer. It's offered for a semester. We're looking to move it from a semester to a full year. The reason we're doing that, you'll also notice if you scroll down a little further, it's the fifth thing listed in our changes is that we're retiring Java programming. Essentially, Java programming has been a feeder for AP Computer Science A, but it really is the start of AP Computer Science A, and then it transitions into it once students make it to AP Computer Science A. We've had issues with students coming in trying to take AP Computer Science without Java, and that's led to some problems. And so the hope is that by making this a full year course, we can still offer everything we currently offer without having that hiccup in place. So that's the first change we're looking to make, is just to go from a semester to a full year course there for AP Computer Science A. The next one is a new course, Practical Mathematics. This course is going to be a foundations level course. The expectation would be it would be taken sometime between Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 for foundations level students. As you know, if you're looking to go to a 4-year school, you need to take and successfully pass Algebra 2. That is a very big challenge for our foundations level students. So the hope is offering a course like this that can be a bridge from Algebra 1 to Algebra 2 would be very beneficial, while also at the same time offering topics that maybe foundations level students don't normally get to see, get more practice with mathematical reasoning, get more practice with data and problem solving, and the hope is that it will allow us to expose foundations level students to more, while at the same time getting them ready for Algebra 2, should they maybe look to pursue a 4-year degree, but maybe they're not really looking to go into a math field, and they just need to make sure that they have what they need in math at the high school level so that they can move on to college. The next course listed here is also a new course. This is Advanced Computer Science Topics. This would replace web page design. So the idea with this course would be, we currently have Discovering Computer Science, and there's a lot of new material that we don't address in our current computer science courses, and the idea would be this next course would expose students to those new concepts. And web page design, it's been around for a while, but it's something where we feel like we would address more current computer science material with this newer class than we would have with web page design. So we're looking to make those changes.
I have one question.
Ms. Timmons?
Hello, Mr. Brown, how you doing?
Doing well, how are you?
Good, fine. The practical mathematics, I was wondering, why didn't you start that in the 10th grade, and why the 11th?
I'm sorry?
Why not the 10th instead of 11th?
Well, if you're talking foundations level, a lot of times you're going to see students, first off, they're going to take Algebra 1, that'll eat up 9th grade at minimum. But a lot of the time you'll have pre-algebra followed by Algebra 1, which will go into 10th grade.
Okay.
And then usually you'll see geometry in there next. But if students are looking to pursue further, instead of hopping right into Algebra 2, it would be this course would be the idea.
All right, thank you.
And I have a question about the computer science class. So moving it from a half year to a full year, is there going to be difficulty for students fitting that into their schedule? Is that like, would you expect a drop in the enrollment?
No, not at all, because the overwhelming majority, if not all of our AP Computer Science A students take Java typically the previous semester. So with Java retiring, that extra time that they would have been taking Java is now all of AP Computer Science A.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? Ms. Oden?
I just want to thank Mr. Graham. I've seen you for so long. I'm gonna miss seeing you, but thank you for all you do for our students, because math for so many kids is difficult, but it's a critical skill. So thank you so much for making these positive changes for our students.
Well, thank you as well.
Thank you. Actually, I should have let that be the end, but I was actually going to make a comment to follow up on Ms. Timmons' suggestion. Maybe this is something we could consider. Watch how this goes, adding the extensions. Is that what it's called? I'm sorry.
The practical math.
The practical mathematics. Maybe watch how it goes this year, and maybe it would be something that it would be worth it to offer for 10th graders. You guys can kind of see how it goes. Consider it for the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
I understand that concept, Mr. Brown, but I agree with Ms. Brown here that we'll see what happens. I think the sooner they get into something practical, the better off they'll be, even though I understand the reasoning.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Corey Kennedy, the Assistant Director for NTC, sorry.
Hi, I'm Corey Kennedy. I'm the Assistant Director of CTE. We have about 16 changes to our programs, but they're all very minor. The first is Small Business Management. That's just a course description change, and it's the teacher added more details to the course narrative to more accurately reflect the course offerings. The next is Marketing for Retail and Fashion. It's a name change. It was formerly known as Marketing 1. The name changed to accurately reflect the targeted areas of interests. Students can now choose from marketing for retail and fashion or marketing for sports and entertainment to complete the course competencies. There was a course description change. The description was updated for clarity. There was a grade level change. Grade 12 was added to allow access to more students. Next, marketing for sports and entertainment. The name was changed. It was formerly called Sports and Entertainment Marketing. The name was changed so that it would align with other marketing course offerings. There was a course description change for this, and the description was simply updated to include more targeted course details. The grade level was changed. They added grade 12, and again, this would allow access to more students. And next is marketing, management, and social media. This was formerly Marketing 2. The name was changed to reflect the inclusion of social media marketing. This course had a description change, and the description was updated to include more targeted course details and the inclusion of a focus on social media. There was a prerequisite change to this course. Students can now either take marketing for retail and fashion or marketing for sports and entertainment to be eligible for this level 2 program. Again, there was a grade level change. Added was grade 12 to allow access for more students. Okay, moving on to manufacturing. This just had a name change. It was formerly Manufacturing and Machine Technology 1. The name was changed to align with industry. And there was a simple description change to, it was updated to include a more detailed and accurate narrative of the course. Same for Advanced Marketing 2. It was formerly Manufacturing and Machine Technology 2. The name was changed to align with industry. There was a description change, and the description was updated to include a more detailed and accurate narrative for the program. Business Finance, there was a name change. It was formerly Business Finance 1. This was changed to allow students to take this course along with Global Finance in any order. A brief description change. It was updated to include a more detailed and accurate narrative. And now Global Finance is what's replacing the course formerly known as Business Finance 2. This allows students to take this course along with Business Finance in any order. There was a description change. It was updated to include a more detailed and accurate narrative. A prerequisite change. It no longer requires a prerequisite. Next is Design and Visual Communications. This description was updated to include a more detailed and accurate narrative of that program. And same for level 2. The description was had some minor updates to add more details and more accurate narrative. Construction Technology 1. There was a description change. The description again was updated to include a more detailed and accurate narrative. And there was a change to the notes. It said purchase safety shoes, and that's crossed out now. The requirement to purchase safety shoes was crossed out to align with the other program notes in the program of studies. Construction Technology 2, the description was updated to include a more detailed and accurate narrative. Next is Interior Design. The class size was changed. It's now capped at 24. And this is because the program is now a computer-based program. Grade level change, they added grades 9 and 10 to allow more students access to the course. There's a change in the notes. It meets ICT requirements because the program is now computer-based. Almost done.
Oh, pretty good.
Introduction to Engineering Design, or grade level change, they added grade 12 to allow more students access to the course. And finally, Hospitality and Hotel Management 1 and 2. These courses are retired, and this is due to a continued decline in enrollment.
Oh, that's too bad. Didn't we get our, when they had the entertainment, didn't we use them to do that for when we had orientations and functions in the school. Wasn't the hospitality one that was making all the food?
That was culinary arts.
Oh, that was culinary arts.
They're still
Okay.
here.
Oh, okay. Okay, because they were great.
Yes, they are.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Ms. Oden.
Thank you. I know in finance, we're spending a lot of money in CTE. It's got to come through finance to get approved. Are you seeing a rise in numbers of students taking our CTE programs? It seems like we've expanded some of the courses. Some of them are getting more publicity, but unfortunately, a lot of it was hands-on, and of course, the pandemic had a negative effect on that. Can you tell me how the enrollment is going in CTE?
I believe the enrollment is slightly lower this year, and that is due to COVID. There are some courses that had a spike. We're not really sure why, but we do anticipate that numbers will continue to rise. We're trying to do more marketing and more publicity, which was sorely needed, so I think that will contribute to increased enrollment.
I know they used to go to the auditorium and they'd have a presentation for the students. Each course would promote their program, tell the kids about it, and it was well attended. Well, of course, I think the kids had to go, but they were interested in it. Are you still, do you plan on doing something like that?
Yes, we just did one here at North last week.
Good.
And we're going to be doing one right after the holiday break at South.
Oh,
and that's
thank
great
you.
because it's student-led, and students listen to other students, so it's a great event.
It was really good. Also, for anybody listening, we've spent a lot of money for the manufacturing CTE course. If anybody's interested in that, they can leave the high school and probably end up with a really good paying job. And thank you for moving that program forward. I certainly value it and appreciate it. So thank you for all the work you're doing in CTE.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sarfy, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, so my daughter participates in the CTE program here, and we searched high and low for a high-quality program, and she absolutely has an amazing experience here in North. Best decision we ever made, so I just wanted to give a shout-out to the CTE program here.
Great, thank you so much.
I actually think all of these things, I mean, if it aligns with the industry standards, that sounds great. My one question was actually about the interior design class. It says you can start in 9th grade. I thought it was that, because what would make it be different? Because I thought most of the CTE courses were 10th grade because you had to come in and do some things before that.
This is actually a FACS course. It's not CTE specifically, so we wanted to open it up to freshmen. It's a feeder course to the CAD program, so hopefully when they take this class, they'll get an interest in some of the CTE courses as well.
Excellent. And I've bragged about that to other people in other districts. The fact that we offer CAD and manufacturing and welding and all these different things are pretty amazing. So, all right. Anything else to add, anyone?
No.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
So much.
All right, I'm just going to summarize the final two subjects. They're pretty straightforward changes. So for chemistry, we're just clarifying the prerequisites. So just so students and parents and teachers know that in order to take chemistry at the extensions and honors level, students need biology and either geometry or algebra 2. And the reason is because geometry does not always come before algebra 2. There's not a prerequisite for that course. So there might be a chance that a kid could be taking chem without having one or the other. So that's why we're saying either or, just to clarify. And then the astronomy prerequisite is just clarifying again that students need physical science and biology because that was not there before. And then the final proposal is for a course that was called Contemporary Global Studies, and we're just dropping the contemporary and changing it to global conflicts. And the description is changing slightly just to make it more appropriate to the curriculum.
Any questions on those? Yes, Ms. Oden?
I don't have a question. I have a comment. I think the presentations we've had tonight let the community know how interested our teachers and our administrators are in making sure we encompass as many students as possible into these courses. And I think the changes have been made to do that, and I certainly appreciate it, and I believe anybody watching this would understand that teachers are watching out to ensure we can educate as many students as we can in the areas that they would like to work in. So thank you so much. I know this is a lot of work. It's tedious. You put in time here. But thank you. I'm glad that the community can see how teachers advocate for students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I think we're looking for a motion to approve the
Course changes.
as presented.
So moved.
All right. Motion by Mr. Guarino
Second it.
and seconded by Ms. Timmons. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much for all the presenters this evening. We really appreciate you being here. So, Dr. Sarfty, do you have anything else we're still doing the middle school module. Sorry, I skipped over one thing.
Nope, that's okay. Yep, so Mr. Parker isn't here, but I can speak to the fall data that we have right now. So essentially, these assessments come from New Hampshire SAS. So the New Hampshire SAS has interim assessments, summative assessments, and then they also have modular assessments. And the modular assessments really just target specific standards and specific domains. So as you can see, 6th grade took an assessment. It's a very short assessment, just so you know. It's not a big interim assessment. It's not a big summative assessment. It's just a very short formative assessment. And these 2 assessments that they took focused on, or the one assessment focused on literature and also informational text. So this really was kind of like a reading assessment, and typically there is a writing assignment that goes with the reading, basically to demonstrate comprehension of your reading through writing. And, we have one thing to make sure that we emphasize is the fact that these are end of grade level standards. So in looking at this data right now, the majority of our students are either demonstrating proficiency at least against these specific standards, and or they're well on their way to approaching proficiency, which is what we'd like to see. Obviously, we're in December right now, so we wouldn't expect all of our students to be able to demonstrate proficiency. So the fact that we do have at least 3/4 of our students, or almost 3/4 of our students, either approaching or at proficient, is certainly something that is favorable. And if we are looking at grade 7, again, this assessment specifically focused on targeted literature standards. And again, we have about 3/4 of our students who are either approaching proficiency or at proficiency already. One thing that I do want to emphasize is we are really taking a hard look at the students who are already demonstrating proficiency, because we want to make sure that we continue to accelerate their learning. We want to make sure that we continue to challenge them. And I think probably historically, we can't speak for Nashua, but in all of the districts I haven't worked in a lot of districts, but where I've been before, we've really kind of focused on the students who are kind of on the cusp of proficiency and the students who are really, really struggling. And sometimes we forget about those kids who are already there, and how do we continue to challenge them? How do we continue to keep them engaged? So we're certainly having conversations K-12 about that. And then the data for 8th grade looks very similar. Again, this is just a super small snapshot, but one thing that I can say is that Mr. Parker has met with the lead teachers, also met with the coaches, and they kind of sat together, looked at the curriculum, they looked at science, they looked at math, and they looked at all things ELA. And they aligned these modulars with where they are in the curriculum, so it's sort of like an added layer of assessment, just a quick formative assessment so that we know where our students are, so that we can target intervention, and so that we can address their needs appropriately.
Excellent. Any questions? Ms. Oden.
Thank you. Do we have any data from the previous years before the pandemic so we can compare these numbers to pre-pandemic to pandemic? Because I certainly believe that the pandemic had something to do with these numbers. Is there any way we can look at the previous data from pre-pandemic?
Excuse me, sorry. So to my knowledge, the modulars have never been administered before. These are newer assessments. And again, they're not interims, they're not summatives, they're quick snapshots. So like for instance, if the summative assessment was baking a cake, say, this assessment right here would just be about how do you crack an egg. It's that small of a piece of the puzzle. So the students will be taking various modular assessments throughout the year. And again, the reason why these particular assessments were administered when they were is because they aligned with what students are actually doing in class. So it's kind of like real-time formative data. So I don't believe that there is anything to compare this to.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Guarino.
Yeah, it's called modular benchmark. So is this specifically to create some kind of benchmark for proficiency for just these students in this school year, to get, like you say, to get a snapshot of what they're doing? So as the school progresses, you know how to target, how to target the learning process. In other words, it's not really designed to compare to other years and other students. It's really just designed to compare the students to themselves as they're progressing through this year.
Definitely.
Would that be a way of describing?
Absolutely, just a quick snapshot in time, 100%, absolutely.
So if we wanted to look at, because this is something of a political thing, and a lot of people do this, they say, okay, the numbers are getting worse, it's getting, our kids are not learning and it's getting worse, but how do you, when you compare, say, we compare like third grade to eighth grade, right? But each year, so if you're comparing 5 years ago, someone in the third grade, 5 years from now, they're in the eighth grade actually, so you know what I'm saying?
Definitely apples to oranges, but
right.
What I would like to emphasize for sure is, again, these are end of grade level standards. So the way that the Common Core is written, we expect students to demonstrate proficiency on these standards at the end of their current grade level. So the fact that it's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, for these specific standards, it's not all standards, but just for these specific standards that were targeted, approximately 3/4 in each one of those grades are the students are either proficient already, which is pretty amazing, or they're approaching proficiency. So they're well on their way making gains, and they're going in the direction that they're supposed to be going in. Again, we don't expect students to be able to kind of get to where we want them to be this early in the game. And the fact that we have such an abundance of students who are already demonstrating proficiency, I think that really speaks to, how hard our students have been working, how aligned our curriculum is to the Common Core, and then also how hard our teachers are working, because it's obvious that our teachers are working overtime. I know that you talked a little bit about unfinished learning, but what I would argue is that we've always had students who have unfinished learning. We have students who come to us with many different, I don't want to say challenges, but, just many different ability levels. And what we do as teachers is we figure out what every student needs, and then we try to meet their needs. And then, we watch them hopefully progress to proficiency. That's really what teaching is. So I think that teachers are just really applying the skills that they've always used, maybe just a little bit more intently now.
So my thinking is that there are other more, just as important factors that go into students. For example, if you look at the demographics of Nashua 20 years ago, there was only a certain percentage of families that were reduced lunches or free lunches. The demographics have changed, more immigrants, more obstacles to learning than 20 years ago. So to do that, to compare like 20 years ago to 10 years ago to today or 5 years ago, we have to take in those other factors that are there. And studies show over and over again that schools, whether the schools are private schools, whether they're public schools, it depends on a big factor is income of the community. So if you have a community has, higher income communities, their public schools do better because they have more resources at home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I'm just saying that it's we really have to think this through before we start saying, okay, here's the numbers from this year, let's look at them from this year. We really have to think that through. There's a lot of factors that go into that. But it would be nice, and I agree with what Ms. Oden says, it would be nice to look at year to year, but we need to agree on certain ways to do that. And we also have to be careful when we do that because there's a lot of factors that go into this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think, and moving forward, we will address these same standards again. And I think that that will be something that we can look at sort of even over time, how students how they are performing when it comes to these specific standards, because they do spiral, especially when it comes to the ELA curriculum, so we can even just see over time throughout the school year. And one thing I just do want to say really quickly is I think that we're very blessed that Nashua has an abundance of immigrants in the city. Bilingualism is certainly a gift, and students who come to us who speak another language and who come to us and having been participating in education in other countries, and they bring their cultures to our community, I think it's a wonderful asset for all of us. So I just wanted to make sure that I name that. I think we're very, very lucky that we live in such a diverse community.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharfy. My only question for this is, so there's this one, which was obviously early in the year. Is the next one is in like January, February, that timeline? There's one in mid-year, is that correct?
So these are actually ongoing assessments, and again, they are aligned to, of course I can get into my computer, so they are aligned to what students are learning in real time. So I believe that at the next curriculum meeting, we will see another set of data, and certainly we'll see more data at the elementary level as well.
Excellent, that's good. And I'm actually pretty encouraged that we have at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, about 2/3, as you said, of our students are approaching proficiency this early in the year. That's encouraging, and yes, I think it's great that you mentioned we're going to try to push those kids that are already proficient and pull up the kids that are not quite there yet. So thank you very much. Does anyone from the committee have anything to add this evening? All right, Dr. Sarfty, do you have anything to add this evening?
No, thank you so much, and I just want to give a shout out to our teachers who presented tonight. Thank you all, and I certainly do want to agree with you about 21st Century. It's a phenomenal program, and we're very lucky to have 21st Century in our schools.
They're amazing. Okay, well then, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ms. Timmons?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Garino, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 6:53. I'm sorry, 6:37.